10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? What day is it? 11th of August. No, Manchester United have not signed Frenkie de Jong. No, Manchester United have not signed a central midfielder. We've not signed an attacker. There's a lot still to do with 20 days to go. We play Brentford on Saturday night at 5:30 after an opening day defeat to Brighton. And I'll tell you what, the mood around the club's not feeling particularly positive right now. And I think that's kind of fair enough. How are we all doing? I'm going to have to speak about Frenkie de Jong again. Don't shoot the messenger. James, you've asked me there this morning. Yeah, I think I have now. Everyone's entitled to it. Sometimes you just need a little bit of an unwind on a Tuesday night. Well, I did anyway. But look, as you can see from the comment down there, the de Jong situation is becoming very ugly. It really is. This is no longer just a transfer saga. It's like a low budget Hollywood film with every single angle. I don't know how to describe it anymore. It's completely surpassed anything we've ever seen before with Schneider or Gaetan or any other transfer saga that was just around the fee of a player and whether United would pay that price and how much the wages were. But the longer this descends into utter chaos, the worse it's getting for Manchester United. I'm going to speak about that this morning after developments yesterday. And then we're going to speak about Adrien Rabiot a little bit. And I'm going to speak about Cody Gakpo for quite a bit because it's that I think that's developing, obviously, into a clear Antony alternative for Manchester United. I had him down on my list of Antony alternatives, and here we go. Sometimes I do get it right. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I don't, but hey, come on, you can let me off. But how are you all doing down here in the comments? Let me have a look. Klein, good morning to you. Rotham, got Aya, we've got John, Charlie Hughes, you can see there. Jesper, Craig, good morning to you as well. Nomad, Dagak, Paula, I can see you there. And look, Larry Davies. Daisy, nice to see you there, Daisy. Hey, look. Good morning to all the regulars on Facebook. Sigmund, too, I can see you there. All the regulars on YouTube. It's tiring being a Manchester United fan, isn't it? It's just, I don't know. I suppose other clubs have it similar, but it feels, I don't know. Obviously, it feels more intense because we're all United fans and we want what is best for the club. And I think what's made it all the more frustrating for all of us this summer, this season, is that we all feel like we've got the right manager. We feels like we've really genuinely gone out there and we've made the best choice possible. And you remember these sorts of stories that we saw and heard before he became manager about his interview process here. Like Manchester United's recruitment is being driven by Ten Hag, says Andy Mitten. The players who've arrived so far is because he's wanted them. Before he got the job, he presented a very detailed dossier to the club, which was said to be outstanding, and blew Murto and Fletcher away. Didn't blow them away so much they could go out on there and make swift signings. But to be fair to John Murto, to be fair to Manchester United, I think we've done everything really that we kind of needed to do with the Frenkie de Jong situation. Steve, you're down here like you're some sort of like, oh, look at me. Listen to what I've said. I'm correct. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't know how to describe that. Being proven correct in this situation, you're not getting any gold stars. You're not winning because Manchester United are losing. You being correct about it isn't something to brag about. Oh, yeah, come on in, guys. Should listen to me. I know everything. I don't know everything. But I know you might have been here in the comments and you might think that I've been sort of naively optimistic. And it's, you know why? Because I want my fucking football club to operate like a football club. I don't want to be proven correct that we are a shambles, that we still are a shambles, because I gain absolutely nothing. And Stone, you down there saying, look, yeah, I know that's the case. I know that and it's almost like the owners have been the exact same owners for 10 years. I spoke about this yesterday in that video I did on the Michael Knighton interview, which hasn't really been covered elsewhere. And I said it in that video. I said the thing that feels odd to me about that Michael Knighton interview was the fact that he was basically begging for Jim Ratcliffe to come out, right? The money's not there. They talk about this consortium ready to prepare the bid. I said it in the video yesterday, my immediate reaction to it. I think it's obvious I haven't got the full cash for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be asking for Jim Ratcliffe to come out. I'm going to speak about the planned, well, let's see if it's a planned protest, the murmurs of the protests that are coming. And you'll know full well here on United People's TV, and it's not something new. I've tried to be as vocal as I possibly could be about the Glazers, and I have been for years and years and years and years. And this is not something new from me. But look, let's talk about the De Jong situation first and foremost before we start turning into some sort of civil war in the comments about the Glazers, about what to do, about what not to do. I'm not about that. All right. Let's talk about Frenkie de Jong. And the fact that Barcelona's fans are abusing him, first and foremost. Peter, you're saying there, Sam, you didn't give us a 10-minute video yesterday. Yeah, sorry, guys. I was hungover. I had a little bit of an afternoon off, but there will be a video going out today. What I will say quickly here before we do have this conversation about De Jong, I won't be here tomorrow. I'm off to Glasgow for a wedding. So tomorrow's, there won't be a live stream in the morning, but I'll be back to normal on Monday, after this Friday. There's a super chat flying in there. Let me read this out before I move on. George, use Barca's inability to register new players to sign Kessie. Now, we've seen that. Samuel Marsden from ESPN confirming that there is a clause. This is hilarious, man. You have to smile about this. You really do. There is a clause in their contracts that means they can leave for free before the season starts. If they can't be registered. Honestly, it really is hilarious what's going on. I wish that I could just sit here as a United fan and just kind of point and laugh at Barca because of what's going on at their club. But I can't because we're stuck in the middle of it. Frustrating as that is. Jibak is saying, look, can't decide I want to travel to London for the Liverpool game. Don't know if I want to go there for the protest or just leave my seat empty. Travel from London for Liverpool game. Sorry. I'm gonna speak about that planned protest in a little bit because you'll remember that there was a 58th minute walkout at Old Trafford last year, which didn't have the desired effect. And when a protest has to be done properly and together for it to have that sort of impact. And boycotting a game like Liverpool is a very difficult thing to organise. So as much as it's trending on Twitter, as much as it's everywhere else, hold your horses on it is what I would say, because the right people have got to be backing that for it to work. Red Smurf saying, keep up the good work. Thank you very much, dude. I appreciate your comment. But yeah, going to this De Jong situation. De Jong travelled into Barcelona's training ground yesterday where he was, it was only a couple of kids, sure, but lower your salary, bitch. That's what was being shouted at him. It's been translated from the video. And what you're looking at here is the consequence of Barcelona empowering their fans to feel like they can abuse De Jong. This is the consequence of their actions. And this is exactly what Barcelona wanted to happen. Joan Laporta's probably sitting there having a little cheers with a glass of champagne watching this unfold. Because, yeah, I've told you, I've talked about this character assassination for a long, long time. They've really done a big, big smear campaign on De Jong. And this is a direct consequence of Barcelona doing that. Football's in a dangerous place, man. Honestly, I keep talking. I don't know whether I just sound like a moany old man. But football really is just getting so far away from... we were talking about it with my mates yesterday. Every season that goes on, every day that goes past, football seems to be getting further away from the football I remember as a kid and the football I used to grow up watching. And yeah, I don't particularly like it, if I'm honest. Tom, you're saying big shout out to the content. The De Jong saga is getting boring now, but goes back to poor management from the Glazers. I appreciate the comment there, Tom. And well, we don't have to talk about poor management by the Glazers. That's putting it very, very politely. But yeah, going to this De Jong situation, you've got Marcel van der Kraan, who, of course, works for the Telegraph out in Holland, saying this. He goes, no matter what Frenkie de Jong says at Barcelona, Manchester United have got to deal with the agent of the player. It just depends on what is happening at the political department of Barcelona over his wages. And we know that. And then this is where I think it gets interesting. Roger Torello, he writes for Mundo Deportivo, a newspaper out in Spain. He's saying this. He's saying that Frenkie de Jong's agents have put the contract situation with Barcelona in the hands of lawyers. The situation has been made known to the AFE, associate. So they're well, it says right there, Association of Spanish Soccer Players, FIFPro and La Liga. So not only are Barcelona's agents trying to look into the illegality of his contract and trying to suggest that contract you signed, it's actually not legal. And if that isn't legal, he's actually a free agent. Imagine that. That'd be fun. But De Jong's hitting back. And yeah, I honestly don't know what the conclusion is. I still don't know what the conclusion is to this situation. Because, of course, it's not Manchester United just around De Jong now. You got Chelsea, who are more than sniffing around De Jong. Sky, Kavi Solihull saying that Chelsea are ready to sign both Frenkie de Jong and Aubameyang if Barcelona allow both players to leave. So, of course, let's get rid of that advert. Go away, Sky. Boop. I honestly, for the life of me, still, I do not know what this conclusion is going to be. We're going into this game against Brentford on Saturday night, and we don't know what our starting 11 is going to be. We're going into this game, what, in 10 days, 11 days? Against Liverpool at Old Trafford. It's, for me personally, with this Chelsea situation, Chelsea have, we talk about Manchester United not having a recruitment department and how that's a fundamental weakness of the club. Shit, I said that before the summer started. I said it was a major, major risk for John Murtough and the club to decide that John Murtough was good enough for that role. A role which requires specialists. A role which, if you look at City and you look at Liverpool, and it's not just about completely copying what they've done, but they've set blueprints. They've set blueprints for how to operate as modern football clubs. And in both of those environments and those power structures, they have departments dedicated. They have people dedicated to just working on transfers who have experience in that environment. John Murtough decided against that. I didn't like the idea of it, but I said, look, John, prove it this summer. You've got this summer to prove it. And he's proven that he can't do it. Without a shadow of a doubt, John Murtough has proven now that he just can't in this. And it's not a surprise. John Murtough's done really good work at Manchester United previously with our academy system and helping renew and regenerate that. And honestly, he was a big part of how the academy got into the point where we won the FA Youth Cup last year for the first time in 10 years. But inside this transfers, the modern football transfer is a far more complicated beast than it was back in the Fergie days, for example. And it needs someone to control it, and we don't have that. But as far as going back to the point that I was making about Chelsea, Todd Bowley's come in and sacked everybody, and he's come in and done a Woodward. He's like, no, I've worked in business my whole life. Look at me. I'm a billionaire. I know what I'm doing. It's easy, this transfer, Lark. All you got to do is go out there and, what do you want? Here's the money. How much do you want to be paid? There's your money. And then we sign the player. That's not happened to Chelsea. They've missed out on Rafinha. They've missed out on Koundé. They've missed out on De Ligt. And they are a club scrambling to spend money. Now, so in that one sense, I'm still not particularly worried about Chelsea. But in the other sense, that sense of panic means they're probably going to offer Frenkie de Jong more. They're probably going to offer to pay all of his wages. And they also have Champions League. And we don't. So I can't say here with utter confidence that Frenkie de Jong would choose United because, geez, he hasn't so far. David, what are you saying there? How can anyone still want to sign for Barca, seeing how they treat de Jong, the club's history of making players take? Honestly, I don't know what it is, but I suppose it's a bit like how Manchester United brought in so many players post-Fergie when we didn't have Champions League football. When other clubs were looking at us going, oh, there's no way that Manchester United are going to be able to sign those players, but we signed them anyway. I think that's what Barcelona are living off their own reputation that they've built up, but they are the ones that are just stabbing it. They're the ones just ruining it. And yeah, there must be a case. It feels like Stockholm syndrome. It feels like the players are just willing to love the club despite everything that the club is doing to them. It's very, very strange. It really, really is, man. It's now, seriously though, Barcelona up there with my favorite cities I've been to in Europe. I love it. I love Amsterdam and I love Barcelona. I definitely. Mo, there you go. Just became a member. My favorite channel. That my G. Thank you, Mo. Let me know where you're watching from. Hey, Barcelona, Hollywood's. I don't know the comparison there. Barcelona's like a Hollywood movie. Nah. Going on a little bit further on the Jong situation here. Jason Burt from the Telegraph saying kind of what we all know. Manchester United have not given up on Frenkie de Jong despite all of the signs. And only after giving up would United move for someone else, such as Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. Oh, look, Mo from Bahrain. I know where Bahrain is. When's the Bahrain GP? Has that already happened? I mean, was it Bahrain open one of the season? Can't remember. Anyway. Milinkovic-Savic is not a replacement for de Jong. All right? Make that abundantly clear. I think if anybody is going to be considered a replacement for de Jong, it's going to be Rabiot. And Rabiot's not a replacement for de Jong, but in terms of positioning where they play, I would expect Rabiot to play a little bit deeper than somewhere like Milinkovic-Savic would be. He would surely operate in more of a Scott McTominay type role. But Man United, simply put, we're not giving up on de Jong. And can that really be considered a surprise at this point? When we're this far, I think this is a 14th week. 14th week. That's insane. But we're still not. Because if we're reverting back here, de Jong was written in big capital letters at the top of that dossier. De Jong was the first player that I reckon Ten Hag would have told the club about when it comes to recruitment. And that's why we just haven't walked away. But as I think this is an interesting development. It's so ugly. And our season has suffered, and our season will suffer more because of it. Because now that, honestly, this week has been, we've been linked with so many new players. Adrien Rabiot, Cody Gakpo. I mean, that was tentative before, but now the interest is concrete. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic has come back to the surface, and of course, the Arnautovic situation. Will there ever be a better example of Manchester United's chaotic transfer policies than what happened with Arnautovic? From us putting a bid in for him on Sunday night after we got defeated to Brighton, to a couple of days later, the club completely pulling out of a move for him because of a fan backlash. Nothing will sum up Manchester United's chaos in the market more than that Arnautovic situation. And I think that needs to be used as fuel, and that should never be forgotten, because it showed a bit of fan power. And getting the game against Liverpool cancelled because of the protests on the pitch, a massive physical example of fan power. And that should, honestly, I don't know whether you think I'm wrong in saying this, but it feels, as it currently is, the momentum, the energy, and the power behind the movement against the Glazers, I feel like it feels as strong as it's ever been. And I feel like it's only going to get stronger and stronger. And it feels like the mainstream media, well, I say that it's just Sky at the moment, but they're not ignoring it anymore as they were previously. And I think that has to fill us all with a little bit of hope. Elmo, Does Man United not have a scouting that can come up with alternative players fitting the profiles Ten Hag has asked for? They have the funds for it, dude. Absolutely. We should have that, but we don't have that. And we won't get that until probably next summer. Or it's going to be the biggest focus for this season in terms of what we need to bring into the club. As it stands, we have no recruitment department. So who are we going to rely on? We're going to rely on the manager. Ray, you're saying, don't know why people think Rabiot is an alternative to Jong. He's more off with De Jong. He's not an alternative to De Jong, right? As Hakim says there, look, Rabiot is going to be far closer to an Edson Alvarez type player. Of course, Alvarez was the partner for Gravenberch at Ajax. And then he is going to be a replacement for De Jong. He's not that progressive passer. He's not that ball carrier who's going to bring it through the lines. But he might make United a little bit less shit at having the ball in front of our own defense and getting those passes sideways. Maybe that's why I think so anyway. But look, there's a couple more super chats in. I don't want to miss these before I head down and answer a few of your comments. United are turning into Newcastle. The job's turning into a poison chalice. I would say the job has been a bit of a poison. I think I've compared it to the defense against the dark arts role at Hogwarts. Literally was the poison chalice for so long. And that's been the United job for a long, long time. And I know that Ten Hag's the right man. But he doesn't currently have that support network. Go down here and see what you're saying. 9 inches, saying 14 weeks chasing De Jong. He said on day one that he wasn't interested in coming. That was the day we should have moved on. Bring me that interview where De Jong said he's not interested in joining. He's always reiterated since day one that he's happy at Barcelona, that he wants to stay at the club. And I've explained this, and I'm not doing it again. That doesn't mean that he won't want to play for Manchester United. And I've explained that quite a lot. Well, I wish that we didn't have to keep talking about him. Honestly, at this point. And it's a real shame because even if the transfer is now completed, it's going to be it's going to have an edge taken away from it. It's the sort of signing where you should have nothing but pure excitement about it. But that just can't be the case now with Frenkie de Jong because of how long it's taken, the impact it's had on the start of the season, the impact it's had on our transfer window as a whole. It's mad. It really is mad. And I'm not sure that it will ever be beaten. Wrong word to use, ever be beaten, but I'm not sure there's ever going to be a worse saga than this. Graham here, one of the worst comments of the day. You said Rangnick was the man. How did that turn out? I'll tell you exactly how that turned out, Graham. Let me go full screen for you here. Rangnick laid bare Manchester United's problems, vocally, verbally, in front of the press, everywhere. And not one thing that he said was wrong. Just because he wasn't, it's almost like hiring a man who, in the 10 years leading up to joining Manchester United, had only managed a football team for 18 months. It's almost like the majority of his specialism existed in club building enterprises, which he had multiple different examples of. And it's almost like since he has left, Manchester United still have not sorted the transfer department. Almost. I'm not sure about this. Almost like we should have listened to him. Almost like what he was saying were the correct things. Now, the thing that we, I suppose, didn't factor in was the fact that Erik Ten Hag just didn't want to listen to him at all. Right? And that I can't disagree with. If Erik Ten Hag didn't want that, then I can't say that he made the wrong choice. But honestly, if at this point, I've seen quite a lot of other fans do it as well. Everything Rangnick said was correct. I absolutely stood by the fact that he was an excellent decision by the club, but we didn't follow through. Giggity. We did not follow through, and it's infuriating beyond belief. Dezo, you're saying it makes sense for the media, either TV or digital, to get behind United being competitive as it increases the interest and excitement in the league. I don't think the media will ever get behind the concept of Manchester United returning to the top because that's just not going to happen. Anyone but United. It was always the case throughout our rise in the 90s, in the 2000s, and the 2010s. And that's always going to be the case moving forward. Everybody is going to completely enjoy Manchester United's continued downfall. And there's not anybody outside of our football club who wants us to come back. So don't expect any sort of sympathy. And that's why I'm saying it's quite important, actually, that the likes of Sky Sports and Kavi Solihull are covering this Glazer situation in the way that they are. Because there's no other common denominator. You can talk about the players if you want, but it all comes down to the trickle-down effect of the wrong poisonous attitude and approach that's affected everybody inside our football club. And it all comes back to the head of the snake. And we know that. Let me go down here and see what else he's saying in the comments. Jonathan saying he was treated badly. Look, Rangnick was a shit football manager. We can all agree. Actually, no, that's, again, I'm going to have to reverse that conversation because he's not. You see Austria straight away when everyone's bought into it and bought into what he wanted, and he had the players who were capable of doing that, they actually played decent football pretty much straight away. It's just, it was the antithesis of what the environment of our dressing room allowed. Effectively, that's what the dressing room control. That's the biggest thing that's wrong at Manchester United. The dressing room has controlled what the manager has been able to do at our club for so long, rather than the other way around, when it should be the manager controlling what the dressing room is allowed to think and how they are allowed to be. That's the thing that Ten Hag's trying to flip on its head. But the dressing room has controlled our football club more so than anybody else for a long, long time, man. Sorry, I think there's another super chat coming in there from Brain. What are you saying, sir? I don't understand why Erik Ten Hag can't use Martinez as a DM until we find one, since we have all these defenders. Honestly, Brain, I would not say that's... Sorry, let me restart that sentence. That could definitely happen against Brentford, is what I'm going to try. And I'm going to bring out my predicted 11 for Brentford tomorrow. I think there is a genuine possibility of that. Because Erik Ten Hag can see where our issues still lie. And it is in body position and body language of Fred and McTominay and how they just can't receive the ball in a situation which allows United to bring it out from the back. And we do have a lot of defenders. So we may well see Lindelof and Maguire, unless Varane's fit. I don't know whether Varane's fit or not. Playing at the back with Martinez in midfield to try and help with that progression of the ball. It could happen. And of course, if you let Daisy, as you say down there, look, he does trust Martinez. He absolutely does. Jonathan, you think he's going to play Fred and Van der Beek? I don't think he'll play Van der Beek that deep. I really don't. I think if he's going to play Van der Beek, it'll be up alongside Bruno Fernandes more than anything else. I'll tell you what, at some point on this channel, and I hope it happens, I really do, I want to get Rangnick on for an interview. And I want to dig. I really want to dig. And I think, he was as honest about it when he was employed by the club, so you'd imagine he'd be honest about it after. But given that he's Austrian manager, he'll be there for a while. But hopefully I can speak to Guido and then get through to Rangnick at some point and bring him on because, yeah, man, that would be a very, very good interview. I'd love to have that on the channel. Darren, you're asking there about Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves, man. Ruben Neves is just one of those situations where it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Of course, he signed an NDA. Yeah, of course, it's just like Louis van Gaal did. And you know what happened at some point? The NDA expires, and Louis van Gaal comes out firing. It's the exact same thing that will happen with Ralf Rangnick. Just wonder how long that NDA is going to be. Moving on to actual transfers that are currently happening at the moment. Adrien Rabiot. Now, we spoke about, I gave him my reaction to the Rabiot situation at the time. I'll be honest, it was a little bit heightened in emotion because I was so steadfast in my thinking that I didn't want players being signed by the club who came with baggage, who came with the wrong sort of baggage. I just didn't want those sorts of characters inside that dressing room, right? And that's why I was so against the idea of Adrien Rabiot. In the cold light of day, Rabiot for 15 million. If Erik ten Hag backs himself as a coach to get the more out of him than Deschamps did, then was it Blanc at PSG? Then Allegri at Juve, then okay, I've got to trust him for that. I still think the likes of look, Fabian Ruiz is going to be going from Napoli to PSG, somebody who is a very, very good ball progressor and has been a ball progressor in a very aggressive Napoli side as well. And he's going to be going there for like 20, 25 million to PSG. I think we should have, if we're looking elsewhere, and Adrien Rabiot plays in the goddamn Serie A. So how is it that we're looking at him and we never looked at Fabian? Weird one. But look, Adrien Rabiot is what Damasio is saying, who of course broke the story about the Rabiot story in the first place. Adrien Rabiot's transfer to Man United is currently blocked due to there still not being an agreement between United and the player. We're hearing, of course, that his wages, I think, are around about 7 million euros per season. Don't know what that works out to per month. But his mama, it's going to be, I imagine his mum's like, remember the mum from Waterboy? One who used to cook the crocs. I love Waterboy. It's a great film. I've kind of got that image of who Adrien Rabiot's mum is. Yeah, she's notoriously feisty, I think is the way we would describe it. And as I've said to you before, if your mum was your agent and you were a professional football player, you know exactly how she'd act. Like mums protect their kids with a different sort of intensity to anybody else. It's not just professional with them, which is why I find it strange. But yeah, apparently we haven't got personal terms agreed with it. The fee's not going to be an issue. It's about 15 million, isn't it? And that's going to be paid. And the thing that we keep seeing as well, and which is what it absolutely should be, is that Adrien Rabiot is not just an alternative for De Jong and there's no one else. It's going to be more coming in with him. And Steve, as I say, look down here, I personally agree with you on this one. I mean, I was very, very vocal against the Arnautovic situation. And I'll tell you what, the club learned. The club got that right. I don't think the same thing. I don't think there won't be the same sort of back out with Rabiot as there was with Arnautovic. But it still feels like we could and should be looking at better alternatives to Rabiot. And Fabian Ruiz, I think, is probably the best example of that. But moving on from midfield, this is a signing I personally think is very exciting. And I'm going to be doing a video on this at lunchtime. This would have been my lunchtime video yesterday. But I had a little day off. Call it a little day off. And we're going to be speaking here about Cody Gakpo at lunchtime. Reports saying that PSV have told Gakpo that his sale will not be sanctioned under any circumstances before their Champions League qualifier against Rangers, which I believe, let me just check again, I believe that's on the 16th of August. PSV versus Rangers. 16th of August. Oh, shit, 2 legs. Damn. Well, if that's the case, let me pull this up. Let's go full screen on this one. Helps when it zooms in. Look at that. Rangers versus PSV in the Champions League qualifiers. If this report is correct, this one here, it is that one there. Let me go over there. If this report is correct, then Manchester United won't be signing Gakpo until, well, the end of the transfer window. And that makes perfect sense. There's absolutely no way they're going to let go of their best. I mean, he was literally Dutch Player of the Year in the end of Eredivisie last year. I don't think that's the case at all. If they go through, it doesn't mean the Gakpo is going to stay. But until these games go past, then United won't be getting a deal done for him. And we're going to have to wait until the end of the window. And we're going to have to wait until the first few games of the season have passed. Good thing is, he should be completely fit when he comes in. He should be pretty astute. He's a sort of signing, right? If we went and signed Gakpo, it would be a similar sort of settling in process to Lisandro Martinez. I think he'd understand the intensity of the football that will be required by Erik ten Hag. He'll know Erik ten Hag's football. It will be a bit of a quicker transition for him than it would be for, I don't know. Actually, no, it's kind of similar to Malacia as well. You've seen how quickly he settled in the club. So I am really excited by the idea of signing him. I think it's an excellent alternative to Antony. I don't know why we're having this conversation now when we should have been having this conversation 6 weeks ago. But I think this is a good signing. And it would be a good signing if Manchester United pushed it through. No guarantee of that. The Dutch league is not set. Yeah, of course, everyone says that, man. So I find it weird that people get obsessed by that. So do people get obsessed by that in the same way they do with La Liga or, I don't know, Serie A? Of course, the Premier League is different. And there will, of course, be there will be an adjustment period, naturally. But I would be pretty confident of Gakpo being able to understand the Ten Hag system relatively quickly. Adjusting to the tempo and the intensity of the Premier League, well, that's something that you can only really judge once he's actually playing in the Premier League. And of course, that is an unknown. It really is. Let me go down here. Take it or leave it. Gakpo's a replacement for Rashford. Well, he will play on the left wing. He absolutely will play on the left wing. Honestly, I say Gakpo would bring something to our attack. He's somebody who's absolutely capable of playing with his back to goal. And us signing somebody like him to play on the left-hand side, what does that mean for Garnacho, you could argue? I don't know what that means for Garnacho. But Gakpo wouldn't come in and just play on the left wing. I mean, that is pretty much where he plays. Let me pull up his stats here and have a quick look. Has he played across all front? I mean, he's made the overwhelming majority of his appearances on the left-hand side, but he can play across the front three. Ryan, you're saying, Sam, you deserve a holiday. It's going to be a long season with this club. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a long season. And I'll tell you one thing as well, Ryan, now that you mentioned it there, I'll mention it again later. But I'm going to be going away next Thursday again. I'm going to go away for a week. So it's going to be a full week where we don't have live streams in the morning, but I am going to be taking my stuff with me. So there will be videos, just non-live videos. That's the intention anyway. So there you go. So look down here, group production. Sam, I like the idea of Ranić coming for an interview. Suggest you keep your cards close to your chest because other toxic channel. I don't honestly, and I honestly say this in the most respectful way possible, but it won't sound respectful. I don't give a shit about what any other channel does. I, for the life of me, do not. And honestly, people try, and they have done, and they will continue to do so. They will try and drag me into beef. They'll try and drag me into slagging matches. And sometimes I nibble. Occasionally I do nibble, you little fuckers. But that's what trolls do. But I do not give a toss about what any other channels do. I only care about how I represent the content that I want to do, about the community that we're building here together. And honestly, if you start caring about everything that anyone else is doing or what anyone else is thinking, you can't focus on what you're doing and what you're good at. So that, honestly, anybody else can do what they want. That's what I think so anyway. Salim, what are you saying here? Gakpo, Sergej, Aru, and Belotti. Bonus. Cheap. Sergej has just signed a new contract to PSV. He's not coming. I can never pronounce his name properly. What? Is that the guy from Lyon? I think that's the guy from Lyon. What? So look at that. Football knowledge. Sometimes 10 out of 10. What are we saying down here? Honestly, yeah. Olivia, you're down here saying sub to United TV because of how different I appreciate it. You have to, everyone's got their niche. You know what the United Stands niche is? It's pure entertainment. Not really much information. That's their niche. Stretford Paddock. I've got a lot of time for a lot of stuff they do, actually. I think the intentions are correct there. I've got nothing to really say against them, if I'm being completely honest. But look, something I want to say before I quickly move on, I wanted to have a shout out to Bet Victor for supporting United People's TV. They have supported United People's TV across the summer and helped the channel grow bigger and better. And they will be supporting United People's TV across this season too. And I wanted to bring this clip up here for us to have a little discussion here before we go on to the final couple of conversation points, and also where you fire in your questions and I answer. But this is about the first couple of weeks of the transfer window and how it's been going and how
We've got some serious work that needs to be done here, and the board haven't backed the manager at all. He's the right manager. He's finally the right manager, and that's the thing we got to give him time. Nah, it's not over. Look at the teams you're going to be competing with. Look, it's for the top four. And look, United aren't competing for the top four if we don't get our business done, first of all. So this is assuming we get our business done. But you're fighting with Chelsea and Arsenal for fourth spot, really. I think Spurs, whether they finish third or fourth, will finish in the top four. So
Manchester United are not going to lose every game. Same as the flip reverse of what I was saying about Liverpool. You know, they're not going to lose every game. He's going to get them better. They're going to be playing better football with what he's got. But Adam's right. You know, they're going into a sword fight with a baguette this season. You know,
I hate agreeing with Liverpool fans. I really do. But at this moment in time, that's kind of what the situation is. And Makola there saying that Ten Hag's not been backed. No, he's not been backed. And something that the arguments that we keep having, right? It's not just a case of asking the owners to spend 100, 200, 300 million. That's backing a manager is more than about just signing him the right players. It's giving him the support network that he needs to succeed. Now, transfers are a big part of that. But infrastructure, being able to lean on the right person for support. I haven't got time to do this. Can you do it? Boom, I'll get it done for you. The transfer department's just not there. And, geez, I don't know what we're going into this fight with, but I'm not even sure if it's a baguette. And you're down there saying Makola's not right entirely. We're not fighting for top four. We don't have the wherewithal to do it, the depth and the quality. Right now, I mean, look, You know full well that I think Manchester United are going to finish outside the top four this year. That's my prediction currently. And we do need to do a lot more to change that. Otherwise, we're screwed. Hey, Salim, what are you doing down there, my friend? Dropping 10 memberships into the channel. What Don? Salim, one of the OGs and the mods on the channel. Say thank you very much to Salim. 10 of you have just been gifted a membership. I do love the gifted memberships, man. For me, that's the biggest compliment that all of you continue to pay to this community, is the fact that your generosity is like, I want other people to be coming inside this community. And that's a really, really big thing, man. It really is a big thing. It's such a genuine show of community. That's what community is supposed to be. So thank you very much, everybody who keeps doing that. It's absolutely sensational. Of course, let me finish. If I can ask one last thing about Bet Victor. I've left a link to the video in the description. Can you go over there and drop a like on the comment I've left on there? We'll be doing these once a week. Every Friday, I'll bring on the Bet Victor and we'll have a conversation about it. But as I say, you're helping this channel get bigger and better. And big up to Bet Victor for helping too. But this is something that a lot of you mentioned at the start of the show. A lot of you mentioned it on the video yesterday. Empty Old Trafford. First of all, I love the idea of it. We've seen Valencia fans do it. We've seen AC Milan fans do it. Both of them against Peter Lim at Valencia. And I'm not sure who the AC owners were. Was that the new ones or old ones? Anyway, it can be done. But it's an extremely difficult thing to do in unison. And something that I personally get frustrated about is how easy it is for online fans to just point at the match day fans and go, well, it's your fault. You're not doing enough. Why aren't you just giving up your ticket? Have you ever tried to get a season ticket at Manchester United? First and foremost. Took me, I have no idea how many years I was on the waiting list for. And then I finally got one. And if I was to give that season ticket up, do you have any idea how many thousands and thousands and thousands of tourists, of anybody else, who would just sweep that up in a millisecond? The fact of the matter is, even if all of the match day fans were to completely and utterly give up their season tickets, there would be hundreds and thousands of people who don't really give a shit that much about the Glazers, and they'll just buy it up in an instant. So this isn't trying to point the finger at matchday fans for that. Your energy's in the wrong place, people. But when it comes to being able to boycott an individual game, I hope that the right energy can go behind something like this, because that can make an extremely powerful statement, right? A really powerful statement. My gut, well, we've just dealt with empty stadiums for 2 years. 2 years. And they completely got away with it. Didn't really change it. But something we've seen the escalation of the protests against Glazers, haven't we? For a long time. We've seen the escalation of everything that's happened. And that's what I said. I said it earlier in this video. It feels like there's more genuine momentum behind the anti-Glazer movement than there ever has been before. And I don't just say that for the sake of saying it. I really genuinely feel like it is. And if the next step up is a game getting boycotted, then I would completely agree that doing it for the Liverpool game is the best game to be doing it for. We got the biggest game in English football postponed because we burst into the stadium. United will have so much police presence there. It's going to be insane. There will be no getting into Old Trafford anymore. There will be no ability to do major protests in and around the stadium because United won't let that happen. And look, Jonathan, you're down here saying to stop the players, coach reaching the ground. Do you not remember when the protests were planned and Man United sent fake bloody coaches from different hotels so that you didn't know which hotel Manchester United were coming from? And I think they then went into the bloody stadium like 4 hours early. I think that was after the Liverpool game, wasn't it? I think that was the next game. Keep the energy up. Keep the energy up. Whether or not this boycott goes for empty Old Trafford, whether that goes ahead, I've got my reservations about it because it needs a complete unity. It needs everybody to do it together. Otherwise, it will be a protest which ultimately won't work. But let's find out. I'm not dismissive of it at all. But for it to be done properly, it has to be done properly. So I'm going to try and reach out to 1958, try and reach out to the people who are behind it, and therefore I can know whether to put my energy behind it or not. I wish that my football club wasn't just some shit sitcom. I really do. And it's not why I support United. It's not why anybody supports a football club. Of course, your club goes through ups and downs, but the amount of infighting of Manchester United, the splits in the fan base, the poisoned ownership, the broken structure. We've got the right manager in, but we're not giving him any sort of conditions to succeed. And of course, people down in the comments saying, look, it has to get ugly before it gets better. It's like, how ugly do United have to get? My word, how ugly do we have to get? Of course, and people in the comments are talking about finding the right buyer, talking about Jim Ratcliffe. Hey, we need someone else. But I'm sure if that was to happen, then somebody else would find a problem with that owner. Of course they would. People love finding problems with anything in today's culture. But look, let's find out what happens next. I'll bring you as much as I possibly can. I won't be here tomorrow morning. I'll be in Glasgow for a wedding. Looking forward to it. Heat wave. Everyone in the UK, stay safe. Have some water. I won't be here tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday. I will later on today. There's going to be a video on Cody Gakpo. I'm going to get that out for lunchtime. I'm also going to get the video prepared for the Brentford 11. That's going to go out tomorrow morning at 9:30 instead of this live stream. And then on Saturday we've got the game. A match reaction. I'll have a match reaction. It just won't be from here. It'll be from somewhere else. And then on Sunday maybe a day off, and then we'll be back to work as usual on Monday. But thank you, honestly, man. The community here, we're growing and we're continuing to grow. And imagine if in some way, capacity, shape or form, we could all be involved in getting rid of the Glazers. You remember the parade? Well, a lot of us wouldn't remember the parade in 99. I was too young for it. But imagine how big the parades will be in Manchester if we actually do get rid of the Glazers. My word. Vicky, final conversation here. So I don't want to be negative, but what do you make of the quote I read about Erik ten Hag being picked for the cheaper option? What do you mean in terms of him being a manager? No, I don't think it was the cheap. It was the better option. It was the smarter option. It was definitely the correct option. But look, everybody, have a cracking day. I'll be back here live on Monday, but I'll be here later on at lunchtime and tomorrow with videos and for the match reaction on Saturday. I won't miss too much. But thank you very much all for joining in. I'll see you soon.